Well, while too much water is all too often the problem here, in other parts of the country, just the opposite is true. Not enough water, drought, and devastating fire.
For us, the drought really started in 2005. It's got progressively worse. Normally we get about 50 inches of rain in a year. This area here we've got less than 20 inches.
For farmers and ranchers, natural disasters in many parts of the country have meant difficult times. The aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, wildfires in California, and ongoing drought in the South and Southwest.
My concern is that it has gone on for so long now that it's becoming unmanageable. And so I'm a little bit concerned as to what we do next.
Ray Bean and his wife Dell raise cattle and poultry on their 500-acre ranch in Alabama. Normally, their herds would be grazing on green fields of fescue grass. Instead, Ray has to reach into his stockpile of baled hay.
Can I get you to cut these strings for me and I'll unroll this for the cows?
Okay, looks like they're ready.
Big cows won't let the calves have hay if we don't cut it.
Never crossed my mind that we wouldn't spend our summers baling hay, that we would be feeding hay when we should be putting hay in the barns for the winter.
But feed is only half the battle. This is the last of 4 ponding basins where the cows can find something to drink. Normally, all of the basins would be 12 feet deep with water. A lack of precipitation is also affecting the beans' annual production of fryers. Well water should be flowing out of these taps. But Ray is now forced to dip into his profits to quench the thirst of his 140,000 chickens.
2 days before they were to go to the processing plant, we ran completely out of water in our backup well. So we had to go into city water. And that adds so much to the cost that you just can't do that.
As you might expect, higher costs on the farm translate to higher prices at the market, both in this country and on exports overseas. But for many producers, it becomes a question of survival. Sometimes the challenge is drought. In other cases, the devastation appears like wildfire.
Well, that's a real crispy avocado.
Steve and Diane Parker are among hundreds of farmers and growers who lost crops and farm buildings when wildfires, many started by lightning, swept through Southern California in October of 2007.
We were expecting about 250,000 pounds because the set looked good, the fruit was very clean. So it was supposed to be a really good year, and this pretty much destroyed that. I mean, pretty much everything is gone.
The conflagration destroyed everything in its path, including vehicles, buildings, and their all-important irrigation system.
There's some hurting growers out there, that's for sure. You know, thank goodness you still have your home.
In California, as in many parts of the country, grower and ranching groups, along with farm organizations, rallied to help producers find resources for recovery. In Southern California, farmland crops actually protected urban areas.
The fire roared towards the town, they evacuated the town, and in fact, if you go back and look, the first few orchards stopped the fire. I mean, the losses in those orchards were horrible. I mean, growers lost their homes, they lost entire blocks of trees, but it snuffed out the fire. The trees are green, they're lush, they don't burn easily, they're not a good source of fuel.
Only about half of California's cropland is insured, and payments to farmers and growers for lost crops can take months.
Crop insurance pays you for the loss of fruit. That's what you get. But it doesn't do anything for the trees, and it doesn't do anything for the irrigation system. I lost the well, I lost the irrigation system, and all of that has to be replaced.
Back in Alabama, fourth-generation grower Bob Luker is surveying what should have been a robust field of soybeans, stunted by a lack of rain.
Typically, soybeans like this that were planted on time, that had adequate fertilizer and water, would usually be about waist high at this time of year.
Like his father and grandfather before him, Bob is determined to keep his 1,800-acre farm alive and producing. Like many farmers, he adjusts his production to stay afloat in these desperately dry times.
We're putting in a lot of wheat this year to try to get income in June rather than go through another summer and see what happens in November.
Both Bob Luker and Steve Parker are philosophical about the challenges brought by natural disasters or the extremes they face in weather. And while they adjust to current conditions, both are looking ahead, making changes for the future.
If we stump these trees back to about 6 feet, the way you see these first ones here, theoretically in about 3 years, this grove will start producing again.